Welcome back to another episode of the ImPrint Experience, where we dive into the world of print marketing, client experiences, events, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, DITA Morris, and today is a special episode because we have our very first guest joining us, Miss Jonatta Toshira Harmon, the dynamic force behind FBTS, a groundbreaking branding and design agency that's all about humanizing brands. As a female founder and branding strategist, Jonatta is on a mission to help female founders, startups, and corporations authentically connect with their clients and communities. But her work doesn't stop there. Jonatta is also a loving mom, an ordained prophet, and above all, a daughter of the Most High God, Yahweh. Her faith fuels her passion and purpose, guiding her in all she does. When she's not engaged in transforming brands, you can find Jonatta host the Brand Big podcast, a platform that allows her to spotlight other female founders and share the big, bold, innovative, and genuine stories behind their brands. Jonatta believes that her calling is to make a lasting impact that advances the kingdom of God in the earth. Whether she's working with a client, building a brand, or serving those she loves, she is committed to influencing generations. Please welcome Jonatta Toshira. Jonatta, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Judaea, it is an honor to be brought on as the first guest, which you did not tell me that was the case. That is an honor. And I'm just excited to get into the conversation today. So thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, well, let's dive right in. I want to start with something that's fundamental yet so powerful in our journeys as entrepreneurs, which is our first business card. So, can you tell me about your very first business card? Did you print it yourself? What did it look like? And most importantly, how did it make you feel?
Oh my goodness. So I want to start a little earlier than my first business card and then dive into that because I've been in the entrepreneurial space legally for the past 5.5 years. But I started out early in my childhood, right? And then going into middle school age years, teenage years,
Wow.
where I was an entrepreneur. And so not legally though, I was doing things.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur from the time I was 8 years. I had
Mm,
seen some family members in business, but my mother and father were not entrepreneurs in the beginning. My father has been an entrepreneur before, but in childhood age, I didn't see that from them. I saw it from other family members. And so I wanted to do something. I was like, I want to make my own money, right? Knew nothing about the economy. And so before I had a legal official business card, I had flyers and things, and this was back in the like MySpace days.
oh man.
And so I would put out flyers and things for my different entrepreneurial ventures. So I did hair and nails, right? That was where I started.
Wow.
At 8 years old, I started with braiding my Barbie's hair. And at 12, so 4 years later, I go into doing friends in school's hair and nails. And then their parents start coming. And then their aunties start coming. And then ladies from in my high school years, ladies from high school would come over. And I mean, even the high school basketball, women's basketball coach or girls basketball coach would come. And so, that those were my business cards back in the day, as we like to
Okay.
say. And then God just gave me a visual in my mind, and some people categorize that, as waking dreams and things of that nature. But he
Yeah.
literally gave me a glimpse of my future, and I didn't understand it all, but I knew that there was something more to business than just doing hair and nails. I had a dream of
Mm,
going to school for hair. And my family kind of felt like Joseph because they kind of put me in a pit, not my mother and my father, but like those great aunts and uncles. They were like, no, you need to go to school. You need to go to
Yep.
college and do these things, right? The American dream.
Yep.
And I was so reluctant, but I went. And God made that experience so fruitful because I met people that I am still in connection and covenant with today, including my best friend, who is an amazing entrepreneur. Shout
Wow.
out to Shayla Hilton, who's a top 2.5% podcaster. And also my spiritual mom and her, the invaluable walk that I've had with her over these 9 years. So I know that was a lot, but to answer your question, my first business card was flyers. Again, back in the MySpace days. And then my actual legal business cards were in 2019. When I really
Wow.
took the time to hone in on business, and I have a degree in business. I have, a concentration in human resources. So I had the foundational things in the practical realm, but in the spirit, God had made me an entrepreneur way before I could even understand what that was. And so my real business cards, 2019, were for a business that is no longer in existence. I've actually transitioned now. And so it was Kingdom Assistance, which was a branding and web design company.
Wow.
And I made them myself in Canva. And I also printed them through Office Depot. So
Mm.
yeah, that's the business card story for me.
Oh my goodness. That just brought back so many memories for me. From MySpace to the flyers. It's crazy how like I find a lot of entrepreneurs have similarities in their stories. So like
Yes.
I was a kid as well, and I did not know what entrepreneurship was,
Mm-hmm.
but I also had that feeling of wanting to take matters into my own hands as it pertains to my finances. And so I created flyers as well, trying to start different businesses. I had my first flyer was for a childcare business. I was like
Wow.
11 years old, and I had printed them out at home, and I put them on all the doors in my neighborhood. And our phone kept like ringing off the hook, and my mom was like, "Why are people calling me?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm nervous, right?" And so she was answering the phone. They were saying, "Hey, I have kids. We're gonna put them in the daycare." We seen the flyer. And my mom was
Wow.
like, "What did you do?" But I was too young, obviously, right, to start a daycare.
Yeah.
So that actually started my mom started in-home daycare. And her degree was
Wow.
already in early childhood development. So I also understand, being a child and wanted to just do something more, right, and kind of taking matters into your own hands. So
Yeah.
I love that story. So going from that to moving on to our next segment, which is client experience, it's very amazing how something as simple as like holding a business card can hold so much meaning, right? And it represents the beginning of our journeys. Like you said, you didn't get your official business card until 2019, which is around the time that you said you legally started your business. And so I'm sure holding that business card in your hand just kind of made you feel like you was on top of the world. So I really like to tell people that print is not just paper and ink. It has an emotional attachment to it, right? It gives you an
Definitely.
experience with that product. And so, as someone being deeply involved into branding and client connections myself, I'm curious to know, how do you ensure that your clients have exceptional experience when working with you? So, like, what does your client experience look like on that end? What are some of the key elements that you try to focus on in their journey as it pertains to your brand and making it a memorable experience for them?
Oh wow, that's such a good, actually a great question. I am all about the client experience. Being in branding, you have the opportunity to help entrepreneurs. In my company, we have the opportunity to help startup founders as well as corporations build their client experience. And so from the time we engage them, right, in a proposal, even in them connecting with us or contacting us, we make sure in our client experience with FBTS that we are human. We're
Mm,
all about humanizing brands. And I have to include this, that God created us, right, in his
yeah,
image and his likeness.
yeah.
And so, though we are human, we're spirit beings first. And so, I have to look at each client, my partner and I, shout out to Bright Nadu. We look at each person, each individual, each business, each brand that we are able to put our hands on and transform as the person or the portal for their clients, their communities to be able to find the solutions to their problems. And
Mm,
so if we're serving them well, if we're putting their vision, their ideas, their needs in front of us, and we're looking at it as if we're serving generations by each client we touch, each
wow.
brand we are able to transform, then we're able to look at it as, okay, I can't treat this person, whether they call us and they are just scouting for pricing and trying to figure out if we're the company or the brand partner for them,
Hmm.
or they actually sign on with us. We treat them as if this is the first time we're meeting them, and we're supplying compassion, we're supplying empowerment, we're supplying grace for their journey. And we're able to, how some entrepreneurs, and this is not to expose any particular one, but just in the industry of branding and web design, I have seen it, we have seen it wherein people are so quick to criticize
Mm-hmm.
and not provide value up front, but say, hey, you should have done it this way.
Yep.
Or no, I don't do logos. I just do this. And so no, I can't help you, instead of them seeing that person as they see themselves. The Bible says,
Mm.
and I had one of my sisters on the Brand Big podcast recently, and she said this scripture, and it resonates even in this point that we're talking about right now, that we have to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Jesus
Yes.
didn't tell us to love our brother and our sisters as we love ourselves. He said, love your neighbor, meaning any
Woo!
person that you encounter on this earth. And so, again, back to our client experience, or intertwined with that, we do the same thing from the calls, from our website, even making it human, where it's easy to figure out where to go next,
Yes.
taking them on a journey, right? UX and UI design are so critical in this time, because people click on
Mhm.
a website and they say, oh my God, I don't know what to do next. They're overwhelmed. And so
Yep.
we make sure that it's easy for them to go through that journey. We think about those things behind the scenes. The business FBTS literally stands for from behind the scenes, where we're taking
Ooh.
where we're taking our clients or the corporation companies that we're working with from the back, right? From being the people who are doing the things to help
Wow.
the individuals that they serve, and actually helping them interface the human part, make it more forward facing, so that their clients and communities can see, oh, that's me, or oh, they can really help me. And so we're intertwining all of those things from our brand and our business and our online presence and offline presence, because you're in the print space, right? It is so
Mhm.
important to cater to the offline and the online presence, and make
Yes.
sure that you get the same, that there
Yes.
is cohesiveness offline and online. And
Yes.
so we make sure that those things are in there and that it remains cohesive.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start. First of all, that is from behind the scenes to on the scene. I actually just wrote an ebook, and that was the title of the ebook. And it talked about my journey of being like this shy person. I wanted
Mhm.
to stay behind the scenes, and knowing like in order for me to do what God called me to do, I have to come from behind the scenes. It's not that I
Yes,
want to, but I'm required to, right? And how dare I not, when there's people out there that need me. And so
exactly.
it's not about me. At the end of the day,
No.
it's about them. That's a whole another conversation. But those are some powerful, powerful insights. And it's clear that your approach to client experience is a reflection of your passion and your purpose. And I feel like you have upgraded client experience, and y'all give generational experience there over at FBTS. I mean, that's next level stuff. So now shifting gears to events. So branding often plays a crucial role in how an event is perceived and remembered. So can you share a time when branding was pivotal in the success of an event that you were involved in? So this could either be maybe a client's event that you were designing for, or an event that you hosted yourself. And how did you approach it, and what were the outcomes?
Definitely. From our clients being vendors and taking their collateral with them,
Mm,
to being involved and engaged as the designer for an actual women's empowerment conference, to
wow.
hosting my first women's retreat last November.
Well,
I've
nice.
definitely, thank you. I've definitely had my hand in a few, and just being able to see it from ideation to the actual printing, and being up and seeing all of the visuals on the screen, or on the step and repeats and the backdrops and all the things, right? If I had to sum it up into one word, it's such a divine
Mm,
experience, because God is the creator,
yeah.
and he uses us, and he filled us with something different as it relates to his character and his nature.
Mm,
And so to see that, okay, God, you gave us, this visual. I know you know how it is as a designer and a strategist yourself. You see what your clients are desiring before they can even really get it all out of their mouths, or you read the entire email. You begin to see, and I believe that that's just a part of God's way of showing us that he's called us to be co-creators. And as
Yeah.
we're co-creators, we can see an event, right, from start to finish and not even recognize that, oh my God, I've just taken this person from where
Mm,
they were in the spirit realm to bringing it to the earth. And so that's even a part of advancing the kingdom of God, because
yes.
creativity, if we don't receive by the spirit of the Lord what he is showing us, then we can't execute here on the earth, and we can't bring those events to life. And I
Absolutely.
love what you do. I've seen your work as well as your partner's work, and I know that there is so much people don't, not to take this into a negative segue, but people don't understand and realize the creative energy that you expend when you're helping to be a part of an event. When you're
Mm,
doing any part of any,
woo.
you literally have to die to self
Mm-hmm.
when you're building websites, when you're building logos, because if we put any tinge of us in it, not that our personality and things don't matter, but if we don't see the fullness of what God has said for that business or that event, right, it won't be as effective.
Correct.
I heard someone this morning before I was preparing for this, and she was preaching and she was talking about how when you're called to anything for the glory of God, you have to have the gifting, the anointing, and the grace.
Mm,
And if we don't apply those three very pivotal and necessary aspects to designing for events, then we're really causing our clients to be at a disservice.
yes.
So not to keep it there, but to bring it back now to your question, I have been involved in those events and I've seen how it people don't understand. The attendees, they see it and they're seeing the finished product. But
Mm-hmm.
to know what goes on behind the scenes to get your client event
Woo.
um material collateral or your own personal event. I don't know if I know you've done events. You've done
Yes.
big events. I was about
Yes.
to say I don't know if you have, but I do know you have. And
Yes.
so even in your own, there's such a it's a beauty and it's a thin line, because at the same time you have to really measure and weigh, okay, is this effective? Is this what
Mhm.
it's supposed to be manifested as? Is this what it's supposed to be categorized as to the eye, so that the people can truly see what this is meant to speak? What is the message behind the event, and what is the message behind the visuals that are supposed to accompany it? And so I have had my hand in a few events, and event branding and event design outside of our clients, again, being at trade shows and vending, and
Mhm.
also having their own conferences. Event branding and design is not our, it's not our forte, so to speak. We
Mhm.
love to build the foundation. That's where we come in. We're the foundational branding agency, and we help our clients get to the manifestation of their visuals, their visions. And it's a space that I honor those like you who really, really go hard in the event branding and event design space, because it's amazing to see it.
That's just powerful. I love how you tied in like everything, the entrepreneurship portion of faith, because that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna glorify God. The
Yes.
branding portion, the print, all of it goes in and it ties into events, including the client experience. And like you said, we truly have to die to self, because when it comes to events, and especially in this age of AI, even going back to what you was talking about before about your website and humanizing it, human touch and humanizing different things that we do is going to be so powerful in this new age of AI, right? Because even though I personally like AI, I believe that I rather know it, right, than not know it.
Right.
And into before we get to a point where it's everywhere, it's kind of taking control of a lot of different things. So I rather know it, but it's still important to have that humanization in the different things that we do, because that's really what's going to pull on people and pull on their heartstrings and give them that client experience. And so putting that in everything you do is extremely powerful. And then going into the events and branding for events and printing for events and all of that, I totally understand where you're like, listen, we're the foundation here. We got the We got the brand kits, the logos. She ready to go. I'm gonna hand y'all. I'm gonna hand her off. Right. I
Yes.
totally get it. And yeah, like being a festival founder, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Mhm.
And so I for sure can say like that's something that truly does require an entire branding team by itself.
Yes.
And the way we did it, and I thank God for I had actually three graphic designers to help us bring that together. When I think about like bigger festivals, I couldn't even imagine like the stress and the chaos. And people don't, like you said, attendees don't understand that. They just come and they're expecting to get this experience, which is why number one, what you said about dying to self is so important because we have to give them extreme value. It's very
Yes.
hard, especially in a post-COVID world, to get people to get out of their homes, to pay money to come to a space, right? And share space
Yes.
with us. It's actually harder than what people are thinking. I know people like, hey, I'm outside, but it's not necessarily true. Not for our generation, right? And our
Right.
audience. You got to put a little bit more effort to get us outside. And that's because we truly value our time. And
Yes.
so now when we have events and we host spaces, we want it to be transformational for that person that comes out. And so a lot of what you said just reminded me of the transformation that we're trying to give to our attendees as it pertains to the events that we're putting together, from the branding to the client experience. And we can even get into the customer service thing. That's another thing of mine. I'm a servant at heart. I love to serve. And so as it pertains to my events, I want everybody that comes to that door to feel like a VIP, whether you have a regular ticket or a
Yes.
VIP ticket, right? Everybody's a VIP. And I'm grateful that you decided to get out of your bed and come to my event and pay to be here. Even if
Yes.
it's and so I love everything that you said. It really sums up everything that about today in one. And so I love hearing how branding can truly transform an event and making it more than just a gathering, but a memorable experience. And your work really inspiring. And I know our listeners are going to take away a lot from what you shared today. And so before we kind of wrap things up, can you let everybody know where they can find you, where they can learn more about your work with FBTS and your podcast, The Brand Big?
Definitely. So they can connect with us on our website. So anyone listening who is interested in building the foundation of your brand, and you know that you are a female founder or a corporation or a startup founder who's called to brand boldly, innovatively, and genuine, we'd be happy to serve you and hear more about what you're doing and the vision that you have. And so our website is the best place to connect with us, and that is FBTSNC, as in North Carolina.com. Also, feel free to shoot us an email at hello@fbtsnc.com. You can find me on the Brand Big podcast every Friday. And if you want to just binge listen or binge watch, we're on YouTube and you can look up my channel, Jonatta Toshira. And also I am and the company, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, on all of those platforms. The business is at FBTSNC. You can find me personally on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram at Jonatta Toshira. Facebook is my first and last name, Jonatta Harmon. So look me up and I'd be excited to connect.
Awesome. I'm also going to have all of her contact information in the description as well. But before we go, I want to do a little activity with you. So, can you let everybody know what is the one movie ticket or poster or maybe even festival ticket that you kept? I don't care how old it is. What is the one thing that you kept as memorabilia?
Oh my goodness. Oh, Judea, that's a hard one for me because I'm gonna be very honest. Um, as much as I love design and
Yeah.
branding, I am not a sentimental person in the realm of
Oh,
keeping things, which is interesting, right?
you're not a pet
Um,
girl.
I I am the just to unpack that a little, in my family, I'm known as the throwout queen. So
Oh no.
I think that goes along with, not to go so deep into ministry, but I think that goes along with the deliverance uh grace all my life. I'm like, let's get rid of it, let's get rid of it. But I keep things. I have a daughter, right? You mentioned that I'm a mom. So
Mhm.
I have things from her first birthday where we had like Doc made stuffings and stuff on it. But to go back like to teenage years and things, oh my goodness, I don't
Did
keep
you have
those
any posters
things.
on your wall when you was a teenager?
When I was a teenager, I loved like Aaliyah and things like that.
Okay.
When I was of the world. And so I would keep things up like that. Movie posters, no, I wasn't really into them, but yeah, that's a hard one for me. So yeah, I don't keep those things, but I would let me take that back. As far as cultural pop culture and things, I didn't keep those things. But
Uh-huh.
when it came to weddings, oh, I loved weddings. Like
Oh,
branding for weddings and things like
yeah.
family. Yeah, I love those things. Now, do I have any today? No, but I would keep invitations just because I loved the elegance of the look
Yes.
of a wedding invitation. So
Yes.
yeah.
It was next level. I used to subscribe
Yeah.
to like wedding magazines. And my
Yeah.
mom would be
Yeah.
like, "Who is this? Like, who ordered this?" And I'd be like, "That's for me."
Yeah. So
I don't
so
know what
yeah.
I was manifesting, but oh, I love that. So you say you are a throwawayer. I'm a pack rat. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm a pack rat. I got it honest. Got it from my grandma.
Okay.
I grew
Okay.
up
Okay.
with her on Saturdays going to the flea markets,
Flea
right?
market.
She used to
Oh
thrift
my
for me
goodness.
and buy me my clothes from thrift stores. She would find the like
Mhm.
the best stuff. So I'm a pat
Mhm.
rat, and
Okay.
I was
Okay.
always like a print nerd. And it's crazy that I end up doing print, but I used to keep brochures and like
Oh wow.
classified stuff. I would see it in the store, just like the design. I would just take it home. My mama used to hate it so much.
Oh my goodness.
So that's funny that you said that. I now as an adult, obviously, I have gotten to the point where I have to become more like you. I have to get to the point like, okay, this is too much. I have to start
Yeah.
throwing some
Yeah.
stuff away. And it
Yeah.
used to be hard for me, but now it's getting a little easier.
Okay.
Cleanliness is next to godliness, so
Come on.
gotta let stuff go. Gotta let some stuff go. That's gonna pretty much wrap up the episode today. Thank you so much, Jonatta, for joining me and sharing your journey. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to listening to the future episodes.
Yay! All right, so and to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the ImPrint Experience. Make sure you subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed today's episode. We'll be back next week with more insights into the world of print marketing, client experience, and events. Until then, keep creating, keep connecting, and as always, stay inspired.